Hi there, welcome back to the archives. So I thought I would share one more for the night. So hello if you're seeing this from the future. Today is December 21st over here. It's the winter solstice. So I'm just going through some of the folks in this book called Goddess, 50 Goddesses, Spirits, and Saints. And it also goes into demons as well too. So before this one, I recorded Juno from Rome, and I think Juno and Lilith go really well. And Juno's actually even no Inanna. Sorry, I did Inanna earlier. And I'll post that probably before this one. I think I'm actually gonna post Inanna tomorrow on December 22nd, to kind of show what the series is like. But then I'll put it on pause for a little bit, and then in the new year, I'm going to continue sharing, folks. I've also done some recordings for the 13 Muslim hijabi athletes. So I had to wait because I returned the book, but I returned it before I wrote down the people. I usually read directly out of it, okay? Same with the notes, even for the 36 Warriors. So I don't want anybody to be like, plagiarism, because that came up last night. I usually, like, you can see me reading, same thing when I take notes. Um, but I will post those as well, too. So next year, in 2026, we're going to focus more on different women and girls, femmes, across different communities, some trans folks as well too. I want to do. I'm hoping to read Marsha P's book that Tourmaline wrote. So we're gonna get into uh, a lot of different folks as well too. Trans folks, non-binary folks. We're just gonna be. I want to focus more on centering some people who have influenced us, not us, but um, history along the lines, right? So that's more to come. Lilith, I'm just going to do the recording on Lilith because I feel like this is important to also maybe start early with one of the demons, right? Because again, Lilith, before I said I don't think Lilith is a demon, I think I do see why now. It is giving demonic. Um, but also that's what they say about like these kinds of powerful women, right? So Lilith, basically, I'm reading it again. This is a Jewish demon and monster of the night. So Lilith probably came from the female demons. It says here, or lilitu, of ancient Mesopotamia. Remember, the ancient Mesopotamia is what would be considered the Tigris to the what was the other one? But basically, what would be considered the Middle East, Iraq, Syria, Turkey. We're going into all those parts. And so the demons were actually, it says that demons were an important part of the region at that time. Um, some of them were kind, but they were mainly dark, cruel spirits, is what it says here. And so you can see, apparently, there's evidence of this in like dark clay amulets that have survived thousands of years, which were apparently charms that were used to do spells to protect people against the harmful lilitu. And so basically, it's really hard to work out exactly like where Lilith comes from or how her story is unfolds. One of the earliest mentions of her goes back to the first goddess I shared, Inanna. And so their stories are intertwined. So I'll do Inanna, and then Juno and Lilith. But basically, Lilith's story is tied to Inanna's story because Lilith shows up in Inanna's story as a demonic spirit that tries to ruin like the tree of life. That Inanna was the Huluppu tree, right? So Lilith shows up in Inanna's story, and this would have been thousands of years before Christ was even born, right? And so she's seen as like a slithering snake. This snake also comes up. Snake is also in Athena and Inanna's story, I believe, as well too. So you see, pay attention to some of these. The owl, no, the owl doesn't show up here, but I think the owl was in Juno's story, um, right? Some of these different animal archetypes that show up. So basically, yeah, that's Lilith. It said that she escaped. Remember Gilgamesh from Inanna's story? He basically killed the snake, but then she turned into a bird and flew off and into the desert. And so basically, she's known as like a harmful demon. But she's also considered technically to be like the first woman. No shade to Eve, but that's what it says here. But she was. It's said, according to Jewish belief, that Lilith is Adam's first wife. Don't hold me. I'm just reading. Okay. So that's what the book says. That's what the word on the street is. Lilith came before Eve. Adam had to get rid of her because she was too feisty. She talked back. She didn't follow his rules. She was too feisty. So Adam got rid of her. He got rid of her. He was like, you basically the same thing, the same story he told Eve, but Lilith wasn't down with that. Lilith was like, I'm not from your rib. I'm not beneath you. That's why they consider her demonic also, because she went against God and Adam, and so she got basically cast out. Um, so this is Lilith. She's known as, it said that she flies in the night. Oh, the owl, just like the owl, she's often connected with. So we saw the owl come up earlier, remember? So Lilith is also tied with the snake and the owl. So that's why some people might also consider the owl demonic, maybe, perhaps. The snake already gets a bad rep, right? I'm supposed to draw a snake tonight, actually, for the solstice. I'm gonna do some snake art, hopefully tonight. But they get bad raps, and so she's associated with the snake and the owl as well too. So holy water, Lilith is said to be demonic. She terrorizes people. She charms men, right? She's known to be like seductress, a slay queen, if you will, right? You don't marry those type of girls. You just keep them as a mistress. That's why she had to go. The first wife, you had to go. Even Eve, you think Eve didn't listen? Lilith was just like, no. And so that's basically, this is Lilith, right? Some people, it says that some people will put a bowl upside down in their home to keep evil demonic spirits out and trap them there to protect their family. Some people will do protective spells against her or use her. I'm not sure. I'm not really a spells hexes kind of girl. I'm more of like the rosary. That's my protection. That's my amulet of choice. Um, Although I have my other ways. But Lilith is basically a demon, right? The creation story, we hate her. Christians hate her. Christians don't even talk about her. We don't even acknowledge Lilith. We don't know her. Jewish folks say that she was Adam's first wife. Christians don't even. It's not in the Bible. It's not. We don't even. Lilith who? Lilith? I don't know her. That's the Christians. We don't talk about her. Um, which is why, for instance, I would teach my kids about Lilith, right? Because like I hate when later I found out. I'm like, wait, I thought Eve was the original woman, right? How come you guys left this out? I don't like. Just tell me the whole truth and let me make up my mind. If I decide that Lilith is a demon, if I decide that she wasn't actually Adam's first wife, at least I have the agency to make those decisions. But when you don't even tell me, when you erase that from history, when you wipe that out, when you keep that out, it makes me want to know why you left it out. Now is there an agenda? How come you left out Lilith? Because she's demonic, so we don't talk. But then tell me about Lilith. See how this book just says it plain she's a demon? Just give me the information. That's me, right? Just give me the information. Then I get to decide with that. Oh, I don't fuck with Lilith. Sorry, I rock with Christ. Holy water, holy water. Let me go put some protection. Now that I know about her, now I know to warn my kids about Lilith. Like you know what to do with the information, but at least I have the information. Some people will hide and pretend this information isn't there. That's what I don't like. Just give me the information, and then I get to decide what I want to do with that information. I would hope to raise my kids the same way, right? So for sure, I would not marry a man who thinks Lilith is demonic and doesn't want his kids to talk about it. Because me and the kids are going to talk about the Lilith. If you want to join us, come. We'll read as a family to learn about what demons are like. We can define what a demon is. I want them to draw to show me what they think a demon is, so we know to avoid it. You know what I mean? Like, these are conversations that Christians are like, you don't even talk about. Everything is demonic. That's all, but it all is. Define demonic for me. Well, then they'll go to the Bible verse. Okay, and what is an example of that look like? They'll probably say, um, who's the one that had John the Baptist beheaded? I can't even think of her name right now. Herodias, right? Herodias is a top bad guy. Same with Lilith, right? But then you have to talk about like them being Jewish, and then for me, I would have a conversation with my kids around how these tropes can be anti-Semitic, right? This is Christians will use that to be like, oh, Jewish people are this and Jews, right? So this is where as if I were a parent, me personally in my house, as for me in my house, these are the conversations I would be having with my kids, right? Yes, they were both Jewish. Yes, this is what the story says. But does that mean all Jewish women are bad? Does that mean they're all demonic? No, right? Just because Herodias had her daughter sent for his head to be beheaded doesn't mean that. And so you get into all those conversations, right? Because if you don't leave that out, and now they go repeating the same thing, there is a Zionist somewhere waiting to be like, oh, this is anti-Semitism, right? And it low key is if you're not getting the nuances. So that's also what I wanted to add in terms of like Lilith being associated with like becomes an entry point for anti-Semites to be like Jewish people are this and Jewish people are that, right? Which rightfully is anti-Semitic. So be cautious when you're teaching kids about that. Let them know about these elements, right? How it becomes a stereotype that paints all Jewish people as terror or demonic or monsters, for instance, because these are the words that are showing up, right? So then a child might walk away thinking, oh my gosh, the Jewish demon, right? Monsters. And so I want to put it up there that this has to come with conversations. Even later we'll talk about Hinduism and Buddhism, right? And Islam. You also want to have these conversations in terms of, at least for me, right? As an educator, as a teacher, and as a parent, I would also want to talk about like Islamophobia, right? Hatred against Jews, Sikh, all of that, the different beasts and all the different socio-political implications. But again, I'm a social science nerd. That's what I love the most, which is why I'm sharing this information, right? Whether it's a myth, whether it's history, whether it's religious, it's to me, this is all what I study. This is what I've always studied ever since 2003 when I went and started doing my bachelor's in sociology. Well, sort of the psychology, but sociology and global studies is what I ended up getting my 2 degrees in, right? So it's not like I'm just sharing this just because. This is part of the work that I do. This is what I've always studied, the social sciences and the humanities. That includes geography, that includes history, that includes, what else? Anthropology. So you're going to be hearing more from me on these topics, which is why I'm earthing some of these stories, right? Because we do have to go into the archives. We really do now more than ever. Very cliche, but I think it's true. So basically, this is Lilith. She's considered by some as Adam's first wife and therefore the first woman. Christians say Eve is the first woman, not Lilith. Again, you have to how Christians argue that to me is a little bit pretentious, because Jewish folks they were practicing their religion before you came along. So as a Christian, how are you going to tell somebody that Lilith didn't exist just because it didn't suit your story? Just because Lilith wasn't the ideal subordinate, weak wife that the Bible wants people to be. I don't know. I personally find it really arrogant. I just like you, small girl. We need to humble ourselves as Christians. You came after Judaism. The Jewish folks are saying Lilith was here first, and she was about she would listen. She was disobedient, and because Christianity doesn't like that narrative, we just erase it. No, that's what we see happening in the United States. It's just the parts of history they don't like. Literally, the Epstein files just came out. The parts they don't like, the parts that incriminate them, you see it physically. Black page, redacted, redacted. They literally will just take out the parts they don't like that makes them look bad. This is the same thing with history. Christians just erase Lilith as if she did black page. No, Lilith has a story. It might paint her in a really bad light, but you gotta tell her story. Then don't do it then. That's why you don't. Lilith should not have done that if she didn't want to be marked as history in that way. And that's across for all of us, right? So this is Lilith, basically. I'm going to end it there. She's seen by some as a symbol of female independence. Feminists love her. Some of them, right? Which is why like the traditional housewives, house girls, it's the same thing. Hate her, right? Again, I'm gonna go think about what I think about Lilith. Complicated, complicated soul. Men have done way worse. King David did way worse. Y'all love King David. Everybody's son's name is David, whether David or Goliath or whoever. But like David did way worse. She didn't rape nobody. She was out here committing adultery, although maybe she did. She didn't murder nobody, although she tried to kill the plant. She's complicated. I'm not defending her, right? I'm just saying there are men in history who have done way worse, but that doesn't make it right. So that's Lilith. Complicated. I told you, controversial figure, controversial, the OG controversial figure. Apparently the first woman. So until next time. Again, this is from Goddess 50 Goddesses, Spirits, and Saints, written by Janina Ramirez, who these are the words came from Janina, and the illustrations came from Sarah, okay? Until next time, that's a little story and solidarity.